you're here with us on Morning Express. Today happens to be the 6th day of October 2015. It's time for us to look at our person of interest. Remember, the hashtag is person of interest, and you can also tweet or let me know if you have any questions for our person of interest this morning, and the Twitter handle is at Michael G. Gitonga. Now, our person of interest is one who may not need a huge introduction to many of you because you've seen him, and just for the benefit of those who may not know, it is Honorable Aden Duale, who is the leader of majority in Parliament and also the Member of Parliament for Garissa Township. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Michael.
And welcome to our studio. Let's start first of all with just getting to know who Aden Duale is. We see him out there, but Aden Duale, of course, who is he away from the cameras?
Aden Duale is a Member for Parliament for Garissa Township. I was born in Garissa in 1969 to a pastoralist family. My father was, my late father was a camel herder. My mom is 87 years old. She's a very hard-working lady. She's the one who brought us up. And I'm married. I have 5 sons. My firstborn is 20 years in the university. My secondborn is doing Form 4 this year in Mango High School. And my thirdborn is in Alliance Boys. And I stay with the 2 young ones.
Okay.
In Arakan.
Fantastic. So, so where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Nairobi, in Garissa?
No, I grew up in Garissa. I went to Garissa High School. Went to a boys' town primary school in Garissa town. I went to Garissa High School for my Form 1 to Form 4. Then came to Moi Forces Academy for my Form 5 and Form 6. It's one of the schools that shaped me. We were, and I was one of the very few students who are not from the military background. You know, my first academy was more, by then, a school for the military, children from the military families. So about, I think, 2–3% of us were from outside the military.
And you are one of those who are not from a military background.
So that school shaped, it was a school with high discipline. So I can say it's one of the schools that shaped me. From there I went to NYS. Then I was the last batch of the NYS.
Just before you go to campus?
Before I went to campus.
Right.
We used to do the morning drills in the cold hills of Gilgil. Finished and then went to Moi University. Did my first degree. I did economics, which was my major. Then joined a family business. I worked briefly with international NGOs like USAID in northern Kenya. Joined business, and then 2007 I joined politics. And my party of choice then was ODM. And midway, I won the election of 2007. By then, that constituency was called Dugis. It was 6,800 square kilometer. It was the smallest constituency in Northeastern Province, but in terms of other constituencies in Kenya, it was still very, very large. Okay. So midway in that Grand Coalition government of 2008–2013. I served as the Assistant Minister for Livestock briefly between 2008 to 2010, when a number of us, led by the current Deputy President, decided to differ in terms of ideology with our party by then, ODM, and our party leader, Honorable Raila Odinga. So we were relieved of our duties. A number of us, both as assistant ministers and ministers.
And this was mainly because you differed in ideology?
Of course, yes. I think that our differences was basically on ideology, how the party was run, democratic space within our family as ODM. So we took a walk in terms of parties. We were called rebels between 2009 to 2011. We had a transition from ODM, those of us, to another party called UDM. Halfway around 2011, we were again told you're not members of UDM, you guys as quotas.
You're quotas, you're not part of it. Before we go deeply into your political career.
So from there we went to and formed the United Republican Party, which we marketed it, and somewhere in 2012 late, we formed a coalition with the president, TNA, who was a very good friend. And today I think we are happy. We have 76 members of parliament, 76 members of the National Assembly. We have 10 senators, we have 10 governors. And
so you're sitting pretty well, politically speaking.
So the road was very bumpy, very rough. But
did you ever see yourself getting into politics as you were growing up? Is that something you envisioned?
No, I did because my political activism started way back when I was in the university, when I was in high school, and I all along felt that I think politics was necessary in terms of transforming the lives of the people. So by then, what brought me to politics basically was not even anything else, but to make an impact, a change in the lives of the people of Duji's constituency then and Garissa Township. And I can tell you very pretty from where I sit that today if I retire, you know, I can say I've left a legacy in that constituency.
What have you done in your constituency that you can tangibly?
Oh, today, even as late as this weekend when I was there, you know, areas that were never tarmacked since independence in that town, you know, I've done about 10 to 6 kilometers within the town since I became a member of parliament. The last time, the first tarmac was done in that constituency was 1978, and it came back in 2011. One thing that I have not mentioned earlier was that when we left and disagreed with our party, which was a coalition partner in the Grand Coalition, I decided to join and work with the other part of the coalition, the PNU wing. And I tell my friends that President Kibaki, a man I have a lot of respect to, you know, easily adapted me in last government. So a lot of development projects went to my constituency courtesy of President Kibaki, and now that's so. So today you see tarmac roads in my constituency. You see electricity.
Must one be part of the government for there to be change in your area? Because
yes.
Right now you say.
Oh yes. I mean, absolutely. Governments in Africa are the engines of development.
Shouldn't there be systems that actually ensure that there is development in all areas, regardless of whether the member of parliament from there is part of the government or not?
Yes, in terms of principle, and under the new constitution, and under the presidential system of government, parliament, and also the National Assembly, is the custodian of the budget making process. So equity across board in the country is done, where roads must be spread across the country, water must be done in terms of development equity. But Michael, let me be very candid that yes, development will be spread across the country, but it depends on how active a member of parliament is, how many doors he can knock, how many questions he can ask in the National Assembly, how many times he can raise the issues of his people with the executive. There's a lot of bureaucracy in government. Even when a project is slated for your constituency, if you don't follow through parliamentary questions, if you don't visit those offices, the bureaucracy alone can delay that project until the 5-year period you are a member of parliament, the project will not take off. So I tell members of parliament that you must do a lot of leg work. That in the morning when you leave your house, before you come to the afternoon session, you must pass a number of offices.
Knock a few doors. Is that the way it's supposed to be? Shouldn't there be a system that ensures if Garissa county, for example, has been allocated this amount of money, it goes, then it becomes the county government to have oversight over that money and ensure that it is used adequately, rather than knocking doors, because this now creates an environment where there could be money changing hands or favors here and there.
What happens, you know, we have two levels of government, and the resource is distributed using the division of revenue. So the county government has its own resources, which is under its custody, and it doesn't need the national government or anybody else to prefect it. But I'm talking about the resources allocated from the share of revenue of the national government, where, for example, the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Water, the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Health has specific development programs for every constituency. So that is at the national level. That is why the Member of Parliament, through his oversight, through his representation role as a member of the National Assembly or the Senate, needs to make sure that if a road was earmarked for his constituency, then he must make sure that that road, the project, takes off during his tenure. Because that will also help him in his campaign during the elections, and say that, yes, I played a role in making sure that the national government implements this project. So, you know, unlike the developed world, in the US and in Europe, where a member of parliament, relates to his constituency through an email, through an office, through letter writing, you know, that is not the case in our country. That's why members of parliament have resources allocated to them, and even money given to them, that they must drive every Thursday evening or Friday evening to their constituencies, stay there over the weekend until Monday, and come back with issues concerning their people for the executive and for parliamentary roles. And that's why a member of parliament in Kenya, including myself, has three functions: oversight, to oversight the executive on the budget that they appropriate; two, to represent their people on every item from small to big; and three, to legislate, that he must legislate on the bills that come from the executive, and he must legislate his own private bills. He must initiate.
Okay. Now, you're one who is not afraid to say or speak your mind, and you've gotten into trouble once or twice with the people for that. Let me not say into trouble, but there's been debate going round on some of the statements that you have made. But it has also come out to look like or some have accused or said that you're a sycophant of the executive. What would your comments to that be?
Number one, I think, and I've said it here on this studio and many other televisions, that my track record in politics over the last 7 or so years can judge me whether I have been a sycophant. I mean, I'm one of the people in my first 2 years in politics, differed with my party and with my party leadership, and spoke on issues concerning the country or my constituency. So if I was a sycophant and a person who claps for the big and the mighty, but coming back to who is a sycophant, sycophant, the way people describe it in our country, it depends on where you speak from in the political divide. There are those who call us sycophants because we defend the manifesto and the leadership of our coalition. That from where I sit as a leader of majority, even in the US, you become the spokesperson of your coalition. You are the one to take the first line of defense on any issue under the sun when it comes to the Jubilee coalition, when it comes to the executive that is led by President Uhuru Kenyatta. So for those who don't belong and ascribe to the Jubilee coalition, then they can refer to me as my utterances maybe as sycophantic. But if you look at the other side of the coin, there are those who might describe Honorable, my good friend, Honorable James Orengo, Honorable John Badi, you know, as sycophants of Honorable Raila Odinga. So, you know, the use of the word sycophants, it depends on from which side of the political divide you speak. But for me...
So you don't consider yourself a sycophant?
I mean, you know, it's not for me to...
It's for the people to judge. Fine.
Yes, but I'm sure I have, on a number of occasions, even took a different position with the position taken by my coalition, in either in the interest of the people I represent or in the interest of the country. But I think I am also under obligation from the position I hold in my coalition that in the interest of the country, I have an obligation to defend the position and the
stand of the coalition. Okay.
Yes.
All right. That be as it may. Do you see, like, what are the areas that you would point out? Since you're not a sycophant, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that Jubilee may not have performed as well as it should have, or I don't know what your take would be. What are some of the failures you would point out that the government has failed?
You know, and that's why I think we have an opposition and a government coalition. And that's why, again, the opposition in any of the democracies that Kenya shares with its contemporaries is to correct the shortcomings of those who are in government. And I want to say it here very clearly. I mean, as Jubilee Coalition, we are not saying we have performed 100%. We had our own ups and downs. And if I cite one or two, we had our own ups and downs when we formed the coalition, and even now on matters to do with security. We took over government when not only Kenya, the region was facing serious threat of terror. You know, that was not there in our first government, the government of President Kenyatta and also President Moi partly. So we faced a serious challenge, a successive, you know, fundamental failures in security that part of it was inherited from previous governments in terms of investing even in the security sector. So I can say one of the serious challenge that Jubilee faced was the security sector. Jubilee also faced a serious challenge in implementing some of its flagship projects, like the laptop project. Not because of our own making, but because of the cumbersome procurement intrigues that are very common in Kenya, caused by, you know, vendors within the outside world, where people go to court, where processes are not transparent. Thirdly, and I think more fundamentally, and I think all other governments faced, I think the Jubilee government was also faced with the element of corruption, which I am sure both our rank and file and the president is dealing with. So those are three of the major challenges that the Jubilee government has faced.
Now that we've got to corruption, we'll come to other things, but now that we're on corruption, there is that order that has been given by the judge in regards to the impeachment for Waiguru. And I know you've been on the forefront to say that those impeachments may not work out, but what's your take on what the judge has done, based on what he has brought forward, saying that it is unconstitutional?
I think, in my opinion, that judgment of that judge is uncalled for. It is an affront on the independence of Parliament, both the Senate and the National Assembly. And why do I say so? In our country, the Constitution has created three arms of government. It's created the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. The legislature's function is to make laws, amend laws, repeal laws. The function of the executive is to implement those laws, those legislative policies, into actionable programs for the citizens to benefit. And the function of the judiciary in the Constitution is to do an interpretation of those laws and to disagree with the legislature where they feel the laws that they have made are unconstitutional. So the judiciary can say the whole law that Parliament has made is unconstitutional and repeal it. They can say part of this law, like what they did to the security laws, part or sections of this law are not constitutional. But I think the judiciary, in my reading of the Constitution, the judiciary has absolutely no powers to stop a function or a parliamentary process. The impeachment of a cabinet secretary or the impeachment of a president or any state officer as provided for in the Constitution or in the standing orders is a function of Parliament. So the impeachment of, for example, Honorable Aden Duale must take the shape, the due process, the way it took the impeachment of the CS for Education, Kaimeni. And the process is well documented in Article 151 of the Constitution, I think Section 5, that says the Member of Parliament has a duty. He is being given that function. You know, it's part of his legislative function. For him to go through the required process, garner 87 signatures of his colleagues, provide the grounds for impeachment, then he goes to the first stage, he brings the motion. If he convinces the House and secure 117 members, it goes to the second stage where an 11-member committee of the National Assembly is formed to investigate that CS, give the CS the chance to appear before the committee, and within 10 days bring a report either to impeach the minister or not to disagree with the member, you know, after 10 days. So once that process is completed and the president now is told to act on that, then the judiciary will come in. The minister can go to court and say the process that Parliament undertook was not free and fair. But the judge cannot wake up, you know, one morning, either under the direction of CIC or anybody else, and say particular CS will not be impeached. That, in my opinion, is an affront on the independence of the legislature, and it is not in line with the principle of separation of powers from the three arms.
Okay. The Grand Coalition, the opposition, or rather the opposition has come out to say that they are going to impeach the president because there are several things they're not happy with. They've actually named quite a number of them, and you've been at the forefront of saying that that's going to fail. Why do you think that will fail if they have a point?
Number one, Michael, let me be very frank. As of this morning, there is no impeachment motion against the president or against CS Aden Duale. Why do I say so? An impeachment motion becomes an impeachment motion the moment a member or any coalition meets the required standards
and begin the process, and
the speaker appends his signature, and the House Business Committee, which I am a member, approves it for debate. So what we have now is, you know, politicians, you know, talking about impeachment motions in rallies, in funerals, in television and FM talk shows, and you know. So as of now, there is no impeachment motion. What we are hearing is a proposal from the court coalition to impeach the president. Why do I say it will not see the light of day? As you described me earlier, that I speak my mind.
Speak your mind.
Within the reading of Article 145 of the Constitution, the procedure of impeaching a president, current president and future president, which is provided for any member to use his right, the threshold is very high according to the framers of the Constitution. And I say, when a member of parliament or a coalition says they're going to impeach the president, in my opinion, they must have done a serious homework, and they must know they will take that to the last leg. Within Article 145, impeaching a president is not a walk in the park. The numbers you are supposed to raise, the grounds you are supposed to cite, and after you secure the 117 signatures and you secure the grounds and the debate is done and a vote is taken, you need 232 members of parliament to vote for you. In the current numbers in the National Assembly, well, from where we sit at the Jubilee Coalition, our 217 members, we are not convinced. I mean, President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his 2 years of leadership, I mean, he has done, in my opinion, what was not done in 50 years in his father's government, like in what? President Moi. President Uhuru Kenyatta is building a railway line. He is transforming the railway network, which was never touched since the one which was built by the Indians. President Uhuru Kenyatta, for the first time since independence, has done great to the women of Kenya. Free maternity health care. The number of women delivering health care centers in Kenya has transformed from 46% when he took over government to 67%. President Uhuru Kenyatta has transformed the infrastructure. This government is doing 10,000 kilometers of tarmac road in the next 5 years. The first 3 governments did 14,000. President Uhuru Kenyatta has scrapped the examination fees, 2.5 billion for Kenyan parents in class 8 and form 4. It has never happened. President Uhuru Kenyatta has done the biggest investment in the security sector. This country is recruiting 10,000 new men and women to our police force. We have bought over 5,000 vehicles since independence. This government has bought 5,000 vehicles for the police. Insurance for our men and women in uniform. 30,000 housing units. I mean, if you have ears, if you have the eyes, I mean, you have seen what Uhuru Kenyatta. You can even see Kenya has been placed in the global economic platform. The kind of visitors, high-profile international visitors, this country has received since independence. You had President Obama. You're seeing the Pope is coming. Prime Minister of Italy.
Okay.
Cameron is coming. So,
all right.
So what I'm saying is, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, those of us who believe the president has done well, so don't believe in that impeachment motion, because for you to impeach.
So are you suggesting that it's just all politicking and rhetoric and it's nothing? It's a lot of wind.
No. If I was in the opposition, what I could have done was that from the bills government present to Parliament, from policies that government present to the country, as the opposition, I could have presented, or the opposition should present an alternative opinion. The opposition should say, this is the budget of the Jubilee coalition. We, as the opposition, feel this is the alternative budget. We feel they have put more money in health when they should have put more money in infrastructure. And finally, let me tell you, I have my colleague in the National Assembly, the leader of the minority. In 2.5 years, I have signed over 75 bills, either from government or from our coalition. Today, the leader of minority, and I want to challenge him on TV, there's no one bill the leader of minority has signed since he took over that office. That is an indication of a systematic failure of the opposition, even within the corridors of Parliament.
Why haven't they signed?
I mean, it's them to generate bills. The opposition must. You look at 2000.
So you're saying not a single one has been.
No, I am challenging them. If they can come to this studio and Honorable Nyenze produces one bill with his signature from the opposition, I will resign as a leader of majority.
If he produces one, you think that he will resign?
If he produces one signature, one bill, one proposed even bill with the signature of Honorable Francis Nyenze, Member of Parliament for Kitui West and Leader of Minority, tomorrow morning I'll resign as the Leader of Majority. I mean.
All right, there you have the challenge, and he says he will resign if there's a single bill that has been signed by the Leader of Minority, and that's a challenge right out there. Now remember, the hashtag is person of interest, and your questions, I'm going to be looking at them shortly, is at Michael G. Gitonga. Now, one, you've mentioned some of the successes that the Jubilee government has done, but one that may be viewed as a failure is in regards to the teacher strike. This has not been resolved. We know that the matter is still in court, but 90 days have been given for negotiations, and currently the case that is going on is one to do with the TSC trying to reverse this 50 to 60% pay rise, and you have been very vocal. And at this point, maybe let's just see some of the things that you have said in regards to the teacher strike before we begin to discuss that. And these are some of the things that Honorable Aden Duale has to say about the strike.
Pesa sisi hatuna. Umeenda kotini, kotini imekwambia rudi kazini, na lazima yeye arudi kazini. Tukae chini association when is very sober, sababu association shida yake anapiga kifua kama Kenya hakuna president. Budget ya bunge imepitishwa, bunge itapitisha budget mwaka ujao mwezi wa 6, unless we do the next budget cycle. Sasa hatuna pesa.
Honorable Aden Duale then his take on the teacher strike now that they've gone back to class, and umesema hakuna pesa. Those 90 days, the teachers have said that after the 90 days, if the government, or rather if TSC is not going to pay, we're just going to have another strike. What's your take on that?
You know, Michael, before even I say what will happen, there are a number of fundamentals that must be taken into account. One, the budget making process is a function of the legislature and also the National Assembly. Two, the budget making cycle is a process. It ends in September with the passage of a bill called the Finance Bill. Once money has been allocated, there's nowhere even government can reallocate. The executive has no function. So the only people who can even say bring money from the infrastructure and pay teachers is a function of the legislature. Three, that any country, any government will do, that as a country we must look at what is the ratio of our wage bill to the country's GDP. Because governments are elected to deliver on the promises they make to the people in water infrastructure. So today if you say currently if we pay the teachers, our wage bill will go to 58%.
So in short, can't pay, won't pay.
So what I am telling you is not even the president saying can't pay, won't pay. You know, it's good for leaders to be honest, whether they're in the position. Because today, I am sure, deep in my heart, if the Quad Coalition under Honorable Raila Odinga were in government, they will say, can't pay, won't pay. You know, so what I'm saying is, from where I sit as a member of parliament, as a leader of majority, this demand of the teachers is not sustainable within the economic, physical framework in our country.
So why
secondly, fundamentally, you know, Kenyans went into a referendum in 2010. They asked for a new constitution. Kenyans, in their own wisdom, created a commission called Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Kenyans should come back to parliament and say, we don't want that commission. As long as that commission is in place, within the reading of the constitution, that commission is independent, like TSC, and that commission must have a space, in the boardroom where any increment in terms of allowances and salaries is concerned for all public servants. Thirdly, in 2012, the salaries of all the public servants in this country was harmonized, including teachers. Today, if you increase the salaries of teachers, tomorrow, I can assure you, it's not rocket science, the rest of the civil servants will go on strike.
Not a pay rise.
So, you know, we don't want to have, it's better in fact, as a country, we close schools, we become very sober, we discuss the salaries of teachers, and above all, as you discuss salaries of teachers, we must also widen the discussion, bring the performance of teachers, the absenteeism of teachers, the quality of education in public schools.
Let's talk solutions, Honorable Aden Duale. What do you see as a solution? You mentioned that you'll talk to Sosion when he's sober.
Yes, the solution now is where we are, and I want to thank the judge who gave. In fact, that, in my opinion, was a Solomonic judgment, and it was fair to all parties. Government was told to pay the September salaries, which, in my opinion, I think government should pay the September salaries. So Sosion was chest stamping, and the other trade unionists. I think we have a government, we have a robust judiciary, we have a legislature. I think each and every Kenyan must respect the institutions that we created, including the presidency. You know, we must respect whether it's President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is in office today,
whoever
tomorrow. Yes, you know, we
respect
must
the office.
You know, even that's why I have issues, you know, with my colleagues, that you might not like Uhuru Kenyatta, you might not like even and bitter that he won elections, but now he is the President of the Republic of Kenya. So you must address his office and him in person with a certain decorum. Tomorrow your own person, 10 years or 20 years or 5 years, might become the president. So the way you expect Honorable Duale or the supporters of the president to address your person, so I think we must have. So what am I coming to now? The judge has given us a Solomonic judgment. He says, no, the children of Kenya are suffering.
Go back to school.
You people are chest stamping. You have taken hard positions. I'm giving you 90 days. So I expect the Teacher Service Commission, the Ministry of Education, the unions, Parliamentary Committee of Budget shall come back together. By the time the 90 days is ending, is January next year. That is the beginning of the parliamentary budget cycle process in Parliament. So as we prepare for next year, then it's the right time. And I'm sure that judge realized by January next year or February, Parliament is dealing with the financial year 2016-2017, and it's the right time. So I think that judgment. So all of us, let's go back, but let's also discuss teacher performance. Teachers must sign performance contract. We must agree on the quality of. Let me tell you, Michael, and this happens in my own constituency. When you see a head teacher of a public primary school sending his children to a private school nearby. Me and you went to school. When we went to school, we used to go to school with the children of head teachers, our own head teachers. Today, if you go around the country, you will find head teachers of primary schools, of secondary schools, who don't want to entrust their children with the school where they teach. So I think this discussion is very healthy. We must widen it to public.
And in regards to the education sector, you as a member of parliament and as somebody who has a voice for the children, what changes do you foresee? Because first of all, do your children go to a public school?
Yes.
They do?
My children go to Alliance. They go to Mango High School.
Yes. And the younger ones?
The young ones, they go to a private school, but ultimately in secondary they will end up in.
Why do the younger ones go to a private school? Is it because you have no confidence in the private school?
No. I don't. In fact, why am I talking this against
teachers?
About teachers? Because I have the confidence of my public schools in my teachers in my constituency.
So why aren't your children going to a public school?
No, I have only my small baby, and because I think there's no nearby public school along Kiambu Road. But I can ultimately tell you for free, the deputy president's kids and my children go to the same school. They're in Mangu, the son of the deputy president. His daughter is in Kenya High School. I mean, you know, once we believe, once we are
as leaders,
part of the leadership, if you are a leader in this country and your children are not going to public schools, then what you are telling us is that you know there is a systematic problem in the public schools.
Okay.
It is your business as government, as a leader, to fix it.
All right.
But today I can tell you, from where I sit myself, the teachers' fraternity or the unions might not agree with me. But I can tell you the teachers in my constituency do agree with me, because I have invested in education in my 7 years as a political leader.
All right, let's go to your county, township, Garissa Township, and talk about security.
Yes.
And security has been a major issue in that county, and even in regards to teachers. We watched a documentary the other day where we have teachers who've even left because of security issues.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that brings to concern, and I'd like to hear your comments on this, there has been allegations and stories here and there that you have people who you're related to who are involved in terror. What's your...
You know, we don't just talk about, you know, so-and-so Michael is related to, is this. If you have anything that you feel that people who are related to Honorable Duale, not only in terror, in anything that you feel is illegal, you walk to the nearest institutions that have been given the mandate to investigate. You don't just give rumors, you know, don't talk for the sake of it.
So those are lies.
What I'm telling you is, if there is one person, and I'm sure Kenyans are looking at me, Honorable Duale and his family, they are as clean as the cotton. So if you have anything, don't, you know, go around. And this is a problem in our country. You know, you want to talk about Michael, then you go round in circle. There are institutions created in this country that deal with individual, those in power to those who have no power. From every citizen, you take a walk.
Haven't you done the same thing when you stood up and said that you know those who are involved in terror, and you said you're going to give a list, which to this day we are still...
No. You know, let me tell you, Michael.
All you've done is gone and said, I know.
Michael, let me tell you. We don't give lists to media people. We don't give lists to anybody. We deal with institutions. We gave serious recommendations to the president as the leadership of Northeastern that has made Northeastern the last 8 months very secure, in terms of personnel, in terms of people who we thought that are working with, you know, terror networks, in terms of what is the way forward, what kind of caliber, what kind of intelligence do we need from Northeastern Province, with the leadership under my chairmanship.
So in short, you did give the list.
The coming back of a retired diplomat called Ambassador Mohamud to head Northern Region. That was one of the serious recommendations we gave as people from Northeastern Province. And the leadership of Northeastern Province will not call a rally in Uhuru Park and say this is the list. But you announced it in public and said that we are going to give a list. Of course we said we are going to work and give it to the relevant security agencies.
So you have given the list to them?
Of course, of course.
Okay.
And if you talk to all these security agencies, they will tell you. So, you know, one thing that we should, as a country, not play. We should not play around with the security of our people. The people who suffered the brunt of terror networks is the leadership and the people of Northeastern. 148 students were killed in my constituency. I mean, it's not a small matter that people can say, oh, Honorable Duale say this, do this, do this. We feel it. Schools have collapsed in Northeastern Province. The health sector has collapsed.
Do you
our people, economic activity has been affected. So what we need from serious people, serious Kenyans, is, you know, we come together, we form a common united front, we have been faced with an enemy that called terrorists, as a country who wants to divide us along religious lines, along ethnic lines. You know, as a country, we should deviate from finger pointing. That it's Honorable Duale, it's the leadership of Northeastern Province. You don't start profiling a community. Either you profile the Muslim community, you profile the Somali community. We must face this enemy as a united front. Tell him you cannot divide our country along religious lines, along ethnic lines. But you know, when you say, oh, Honorable Duale, Somali community, the Muslim community, within the suspects who are being arrested, who are linked to terror, they come from across the shades of all communities in Kenya. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
The man who was arrested in Embakasi is called Buire. And I want to challenge even the security agents. The 5 people who were killed after the Garissa incident, the only person who was identified till today is a young lawyer of the Somali origin. Am I right?
Correct.
Where is the identity of the other 4 people? Why can't the country be told who are the other four people?
So why do you think we've not been told who the other 4 people are?
You know, that's why I'm asking you, even you as a journalist. You have just been talking about Honorable Duale and his list. Why can't you challenge government? The security agency.
But you are government.
No. You're not government.
You are part of government.
No. I represent government in an institution called Parliament. The roles are demarcated. I'm not the Director of Intelligence. I'm not the Minister for Interior. You know, a number of incidents, a number of people who were either arrested or who were killed over the last 5 years in terror-related were new converts, were people from other parts of the country.
Okay.
But today, if you see in this country, and that's why those of us who believe in one nation, in one country, and I want to thank today on this studio the Christian community in our country, very tolerant. The Kenyan community is a very resilient community. In Parliament, you see, you know, my colleagues from the Christian community standing up and saying, no, we should not allow, you know, the forces of terror to divide us. You know, when they stop a bus and they remove the Muslims and they kill the Christians, when they come to Garissa University, they remove the Muslims and they kill the Christians. There is a particular script that Al-Shabaab is doing. In Mogadishu, they are killing Muslims and they are killing ministers. Am I right? In northern Kenya, they are killing Somalis. So they have a particular agenda to divide our country. Okay. We should not fall into that.
Still on security, given that Northeastern is an area where you're a leader, and that's one of the areas that has been most hit, how far has the wall gone? Is that a solution that we have?
No, Northeastern, I think, has been fairly a very stable region in many years. The only problem that now we are facing in Northeastern Province is the terror networks, because of our proximity, because of our border with Somalia.
So it's the building of the...
So I think Kenya and IGAD and the region and the world must be very firm and deal with the forces of terror in Somalia and bring stability to Somalia. The more Somalia has no stable government, the more terror networks are roaming in Somalia, the more northern Kenya and Kenya as a country and even the region will not be very stable. So I think the region leadership, and I'm sure our president and our government is committed. Our forces are in Somalia. We have contributed forces to AMISOM, and I think I'm one person who believes that we went to Somalia for an objective, for a purpose, to fix that country, to fix the insecurity in Somalia. And once Somalia is stable, we have no business here. But as long as the Al-Shabaab are in Somalia, then our forces will have a moral high ground to be in Somalia. So
you don't feel like we've overstayed our welcome?
No. One, there is no KDF in Somalia. What is in Somalia is AMISOM. We have Ugandans, so forces, we have Liberians, we have Ethiopians, we have Djibouti, and we have Burundi. So those who are playing politics will say KDF. There's no KDF in Somalia, in quotes. So about the wall, yes, I mean the government say they're going to build a wall. So far there's no sign of that wall. But from where we sit, the leadership of Northeastern Province, our primary interest is the security of our people, the security of the people of Kenya. If the building of a wall will make northern Kenya, will make Kenya and its citizens safe, we are supporting it.
All right, let's move on to something else, and this is the ICC. You've also been very vocal on that, and you have comments that you've made even regarding some of the revelation that has been coming out from Moses Kuria, and some of the comments that you've made, if we can just have that roll, some of the comments that Honorable Aden Duale has said, and let's see what he had to say.
Ruto na Uhuru Kenyatta wajitokeze, wajitambue, tuwasamehe, Kenya iendelee mbele. Wasipofanya hiyo, watatambuliwa, wataenda ICC, watajitetea. Moses Kuria, what he did is very right. We want all the rest, all the political leaders, all the civil society, all the human rights organizations who were involved in coaching witnesses. We want them to come out. We want them to make a confession. We want the church to mediate. We want the religious leaders to take a role. We want to form a mechanism in bringing together all these people, including Ocampo, who in one way or the other were part and parcel of those who caught witnesses against the president and the deputy president.
Your statement there, you mentioned that if they don't come out, watatambuliwa. Elaborate that. What do you mean watatambuliwa?
Number one, you know, Michael, we need to use history to decide the future. The whole post-election violence, the unfortunate that took place in 2008, 2008, was a contest between ODM and PNU. And by then, I was in ODM. We said we won the elections. Our colleagues said they won the elections. The violence was spontaneous. Nobody, in my opinion, planned. Because each group knew they were taking the reign of power. Then we had the Waki and the Kriegler commissions. Each group was procuring people to appear on their behalf, including ODM, so that their case is made solid. What happened when the ICC case started? And before even that, and that's why I'm one of the people who agree with the forming of a search committee to investigate the Waki report. Because Waki Commission, under the Commission of Inquiry Act Section 7, is funded by the taxpayers' money. And it says the report of any commission of inquiry, that report can only be handed over to the CEO of the country, to the president. But if you look back, the Waki Commission report was not fully handed over to President Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga, by then who were co-principals. A certain section of the Waki report, and also in fact the famous, in quotes, envelope with the 20 names, was handed over to other people, you know, Kofi Annan and others, who had no jurisdiction within the reading of the Kenyan Constitution. So as a country, we made a blunder then. We violated the Constitution. We violated the Commission of Inquiry Act. And from the day the case started, we have been consistent. Those of us who are on the side of the president and the deputy president, and the other whose case were dropped, we were saying, we are by the rule of law. We have no problem. We will go to ICC. But Moreno Ocampo has not done independent investigation. Moreno Ocampo just picked witnesses from both sides who appeared before Waki and Kriegler Today, 5 years down the line, or 4 years down the line, a member of parliament, Moses Kuria, you know, is not even a legal defense lawyer. Moses Kuria is a member of parliament for Gatundu South. He's a leader in this country. Nobody asked him. He went and said, I want to say with others.
Who, some of them he named?
Yes, he named, have been part and parcel of the process of bringing these witnesses. But us, we brought them to Waki, we brought them to Krigla. The same thing was done by ODM. So he's saying, he's saying what was going on, and particularly for most of the Kenyan case, was a political contest. So what we are telling people is, as long as we have Kenyans who are still in the ICC, in the name of the Deputy President, and in the name of Joshua Arab Sang, then a critical section of the Kenyan society is not healing. Reconciliation is not taking place. So what is the way forward? Let us tell the world, and I want the church, in fact, to mediate. Let us tell the world that the 2008 post-election violence was a spontaneous event. It was what for was a contest between the political class. We framed each other. We framed the president, we framed Ambassador Mudaura. Let us all come back and confess. Let even the witnesses come out. Because these witnesses who have recanted their statements, and ICC wants to use Rule 68 is the whole genesis. So we are saying, let people hear to Moses Kuria. Let more people come out. Let us, like what happened in South Africa during their reconciliation process led by Desmond Tutu. Let us tell the world that the Deputy President and Arab Sang, who have been left in the ICC, were victims of political machinization. Once we tell the world and the cases are over, as a country, let us forgive each other, let us healing process and reconcile. That is my message.
All right.
But those people who are saying Moses Kuria should not speak, Moses Kuria should not talk, Moses Kuria is a traitor, in my opinion, don't want Kenya to heal. They want Kenya to have ethnic tension in every election.
All right. Let's come back to your duties and job as a leader of majority. And not too long ago, we hosted your deputy, Naomi Shaban.
Yes.
And she mentioned that somehow you don't allow her to, share the work with you. What would your comments to that be?
I didn't watch, so I can't comment. I can't discuss my colleague on a television.
So do you work equally?
We are in Parliament, not only my coalition, with the Speaker, with the clerk, with everybody, with the opposition, we work as a team. There's something called the House Business Committee. In Parliament, it cannot move if we don't work as a team. From our coalition to our other coalition to the whole Parliament. So teamwork, without teamwork, Parliament will collapse.
So your working relationship with her is okay?
From where I sit, I have a very good working relationship with everybody that is part and parcel, not only her, not only our whips, with all our chairmen, with all our rank and file members. Yes.
Okay. And as we wind up, what would you say are the qualities that has made Aden Duale make a difference in the government currently?
I think that can be answered by the government itself, by my colleagues. I think I have done my duty in representing the Jubilee Coalition in Parliament, outside Parliament, in my constituency, on this talk show, to the best of my ability. I might not have done the best. I have my own weaknesses as a human being. But I think the Kenyan people, the Jubilee Coalition, rank and file across the country, one day will judge me. The ups and downs that I have faced in my career as a member of Parliament or as the leader of majority, the days that I felt I did something outside my conscience, those I will do it when I document my biography. Which
all right. Finally, your future plans. What are the future plans for Aden Duale?
Oh, my future plans, one is pegged on You know, I'm a very good Muslim, so my future is what the destiny God, the Almighty Allah has for me. So God has planned for me.
You ever intend to go for president, maybe?
I have one, at least I have one strategic plan.
Which is?
That I want to see the president re-elected in 2017 and the deputy president re-elected in 2022. I tend to quit politics in 2022 when I see the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable William Ruto,
as president.
As president in the State House. I can go there and sit with him and say, as an elder. So that's the time when I'll say, I want to quit politics. But my destiny, I always tell people I don't want to retire in politics.
Okay.
I want to retire as a citizen. I want to do, my family does business.
All right.
So I want.
So 2022 for you is a time where you'd say you.
Oh yes.
Is it based on the fact that William Ruto is president? If he's not president, will you continue?
Then I will decide to continue. But the best day in my life will be when William Ruto will be a president, and I think 2022, unless something happens, all the indications for us are good. That kwa mapenzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu, I think 2022
could be president.
2017 we have no doubt in our mind as the Jubilee coalition. 2022 we know the deputy captain will be our president.
All right, thank you very much, Aden Duale. That is the leader of majority in parliament and also the member of parliament Garissa Township. Thank you very much for being with us in the studio. That's why we're going to wind up person of interest this morning and also Morning Express. Thank you very much for being with us on the show. And well, we've got the news headlines and news from the region and around the world coming up as from 8 o'clock on News Hour. So do stand by. That's all coming up right here on KTN News.